Hello, Ryan here. How are you doing today? I'm a CPA, and today I'm going to be talking about the PPP loan forgiveness and how it's more simplified now since the SBA implemented some new stuff as of the end of last month. I know it's not like breaking news or anything, but I thought it might be important to cover anyway. But first, of course, I'd appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to my channel and also smashing that like button to give my video a like and to make sure you share it with everybody that you know that you think might find it helpful. And also, if you have questions below, please leave it in the comments. All right, so before I go over everything, let's do a quick recap of the PPP loan timeline. And just to give you an idea of like the timing of all this and where you should be maybe. So, obviously you start with the loan disbursement date. That's the day that you receive your loan. And then next comes the covered period, which is the period where you need to be using your money. Within that period, you got to be using all your funds within that period in order to qualify for forgiveness. The cover period is usually either 8 weeks or 24 weeks. Most people probably would be choosing 24 weeks to make sure they qualify for the whole thing with no issues. Then there comes the deferments period. That's the period from when you don't have to make any payments back to the PPP loan. That comes 10 months after the covered period ends. Okay, so you have loan disbursement date, covered period right here, and then deferment period, like 10 months here. And some people might think that that's the time that you have to apply for forgiveness. That's actually just the time that your loan is deferred and you don't have to make any payments. You can actually apply for forgiveness at any point before the loan matures. Okay, so now that we got that covered, let's go through like the original process of applying for forgiveness. So usually you would apply for forgiveness through your bank. It's the same bank that you got your loan funded from, and you got to go through their portal and their process, and each bank has slightly different document requirements and processes and stuff. Some banks don't even have their forgiveness portal open yet, which is shocking to me, but that's just the truth. So yeah, basically you apply for forgiveness through your bank makes a decision, then your bank submits the application to the SBA makes the decision, and then they pay the bank back for your loan if you get approved. Well, now the SBA is wanting to simplify the process by doing a direct forgiveness straight to the SBA's website, skipping any bank processes and stuff. And this is primarily for loans under $150,000. Okay, they want to kind of streamline the process even more. So with loans under $150,000, they're requiring little to no documentation for forgiveness. You can apply straight from the SBA's website, as long as the bank that you're using is opted into this process. So let's say you're using like First Bank. First Bank has to be opted into the direct forgiveness process for you to use the SBA's website to do that. If your bank's not opted in yet, then you can't do it this way. And the SBA does have a list on their website to tell you like what banks are participating in this program. So once you submit your application through the SBA, your bank still has to approve it, but it's just taking some load off of the bank's front end. So why is the SBA doing this? Well, first, they really want to wrap up this PPP program. It's been out for a while. We got a second draw going. We are approaching, the time where you should be applying for forgiveness for the second draw even. So the SBA just really wants to wrap this up, and 90% of the loans are under $150,000. So this will give a lot of people a more simplified way of applying for forgiveness and hopefully getting it approved. It's also to take the load off of banks on the front end, the front end of like applying for forgiveness through the bank's portal, which sometimes there's errors, sometimes the bank's portal is not ready yet. All those things, the SBA just wants to get past that part and make it easier. The third reason is the SBA has made this a really streamlined process. They're estimating that it might take 5 to 6 minutes for each applicant to complete the PPP forgiveness application through this direct forgiveness portal, which is incredible. And lastly, of course, like I mentioned before, some banks don't even have their forgiveness portal available yet. And for many people, I'm sure the 10-month deferment period is already up. Like they should be paying for this loan, started paying back, but the banks are not ready yet. So that's also another frustrating thing. And so hopefully they have opted in to this direct forgiveness program to let people apply even when the banks are not ready yet. All right, so how can you do this? How can you apply for this forgiveness program? You got to go to the SBA.gov website. You know, you're going to click on like funding options, COVID relief, and then there's a section that says PPP forgiveness. And I'll of course put a link in the description below just so you can find it more easily. And from that point, you can learn a little bit more about, you know, PPP forgiveness for draw 1 and draw 2. You can learn about, you know, which banks are participating in the program. I think that list is a little buggy or iffy because I tried this with one of my clients. It says his bank is participating, but then we go to look him up and the SBA's website says that he's ineligible because the bank is not participating, even though it's in the list. So just take that with a grain of salt, I guess, and you know, government operations at its finest. So once you make sure you know your loan's under 150,000 and your bank has opted into the program, you need to create a forgiveness login. Basically, create a user, and you're going to enter your EIN after that and your PPP loan amount. And the SBA is going to use those two pieces of information to look up your loan to make sure you can apply for forgiveness. Now, I've not successfully gone through the entire process yet because all of my clients I've tried, they either don't have their banks opted in or the banks are opted in, but the SBA still doesn't think that it is. So I can't really provide any more guidance through that. Just know that those are the two pieces of information you need to get started. Fairly simple. Like I said, the SBA thinks it's going to take you 5 to 6 minutes. That's it. Now, the SBA after the fact might request more information from you. You know, if you had draw 2, they might request more information to prove that you had a decline in revenue, and they probably won't request it up front, but you know, they might do like random spot checks, or if they might suspect something, they can go back and request more information from you. So be prepared for that also. So with the simplified method, could make things a lot easier, could really wrap up this program, could make things easier for you as the borrower. So maybe you don't have to spend so much time hiring or money hiring people like me to do your forgiveness applications for you. It should hopefully be a lot easier. If you have any feedback about it, please leave me a comment down below. You know, tell me what you think about it. And yeah, that's all I got for today. Thanks for joining me. Again, I'd love it if you consider subscribing to my channel and smashing that like button and sharing this video with anybody who you might think might find it helpful. And I'll see you next time, and stay safe.
I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up. She picture perfect, so I told him I'm a flick up. Bill, I'm in the mood for a change up. I leave the city and return with my change up.